Did you know that one of Leonardo DiCaprio's most emotional, deeply human, and unforgettable performances happened long before he became a global superstar? Before the Oscars, before the yachts and the memes, and before the world knew him as Jack from Titanic or the Wolf from Wall Street, there was a role that changed everything. A role that didn't come with big explosions or dramatic one-liners. It didn't rely on special effects or a billion-dollar budget. Instead, it relied on raw truth. On pain. On subtlety. On the kind of acting you can't fake. And yet, most people have never seen it. 30 years ago, Leo stepped into the shoes of someone the world usually looks away from. Someone who didn't have a spotlight. Someone who lived quietly in the background of other people's stories. And when he brought that character to life, he didn't just act. He became him. So much so that audiences, critics, even other actors, were stunned. And yet, today, we barely talk about it. The role was Arnie Grape in Was Eating Gilbert Grape. And let me tell you, if you've never seen it, this might just be the movie that changes how you see acting, forever. Now, think about this, Leonardo was just 19 when he took on the part. 19. Most of us at that age are still figuring out what we want to do with our lives. But Leo was busy portraying a boy with developmental disabilities in a way that felt so honest, so respectful, and so heartbreakingly real, that many people at the time thought he wasn't acting at all. And that's the highest compliment an actor can ever get, isn't it? That what you're doing doesn't even look like a performance, it just feels like truth. He studied the role meticulously. Not to mock. Not to exaggerate. But to understand. To listen. To represent. He didn't play Arnie like a caricature. He played him like a person. Someone full of joy, mischief, confusion, and pain. Someone real. Someone worth caring about. And because of that, we cared. There's this one scene, where Arnie refuses to come down from a water tower. He's up there, giggling, panicked, lost in his own world, and the police, the neighbors, everyone gathers below. And as the tension builds, Leo's performance doesn't just carry the scene, it makes it. You feel the chaos, but also the innocence. The frustration, but also the love. It's complicated. It's layered. And it's exactly what life is like for families living with neurodiversity. Not easy. Not simple. But deeply human. And you can see that in the way Johnny Depp interacts with him in the film too. Depp, who plays Gilbert, isn't just reading lines, he's reacting. Because Leo's performance leaves you no choice but to respond with honesty. Even he once said that working with Leo didn't feel like acting. It felt like being a big brother. That's the power of immersion. When one actor disappears so fully into a character, the entire set rises to match it. And here's something wild. Not only did Leo pull this off at 19, he earned his very first Oscar nomination because of it. Think about how rare that is. A teenager, still relatively unknown, earning that kind of recognition in Hollywood. That's not just luck. That's talent. That's commitment. And yet, when people list Leo's best roles, this one somehow gets left out. But why? Why do we forget the quiet ones? Maybe it's because there are no explosions. No courtroom battles. No iconic lines to quote. Arnie doesn't give speeches. He doesn't save the day. But in his silence, in his smiles, in the way he claps his hands or runs down the street, he says everything. And sometimes, the most powerful performances are the ones that whisper, not shout. It's interesting when you think about how Leo's career evolved after that. He became a leading man. He played romantic heroes, troubled geniuses, vengeful hunters, ruthless tycoons. And he did it all brilliantly. But Arnie Grape was different. Arnie wasn't trying to impress you. Arnie wasn't trying to be liked. He was just being. And maybe that's what makes it so unforgettable. In a world where acting often means showing off, this performance was all about letting go. Letting go of ego. Letting go of polish. Just existing as someone else, completely. You can't teach that. You can't fake it. It either comes from a place of deep empathy, or it doesn't come at all. And here's a detail most people don't know: Leo actually went to schools and homes where he could meet people with similar conditions to Arnie's. Not to mimic them, but to connect. To understand how they saw the world. What made them laugh. What scared them. How they moved, how they expressed love. And that shows in every frame. You see it in the way Arnie fidgets. The way he speaks. The rhythm of his body. The unpredictability. The joy. The meltdowns. And you realize, this isn't an actor doing research. This is a human being stepping into another human being's shoes, and never once making it about himself. And yet, there was no Oscar. Not that year. And maybe that's okay. Because not every masterpiece needs a trophy. Sometimes, the reward is in the lives it touches. Years later, fans still say this is the movie that made them cry the hardest. Not because it was sad in a Hollywood way, but because it was honest in a human way. Because it reminded them of someone they loved. Or someone they lost. Or maybe, it reminded them of themselves. And that's why this role still matters. Because it wasn't about being flashy. It was about being real. And that's the kind of performance that sticks with you. Have you ever watched a movie and thought, that's not acting? That's just someone living on screen. That's what this was. Every look, every stumble, every outburst, Leo gave it depth. He gave it weight. And he gave it without ever demanding attention. You'd think this role would be celebrated more. But it's almost like it got overshadowed by the fame that came after. By the blockbusters. The fashion. The headlines. But if you strip all that away, if you just go back and watch What's Eating Gilbert Grape, you'll see a kid who poured his soul into every second of film. And that's more impressive than any red carpet moment. And honestly, it makes you wonder, how many performances like that get forgotten? How many emotional gems are buried under years of celebrity and success? Maybe it's time we start remembering them. Watching them again. Talking about them. Because if we don't, we lose something special. It's easy to celebrate someone when they win awards. When they make headlines. But real talent often shows up long before the world notices. And Leo? He was showing us who he really was way back then. Before the fame. Before the memes. Just a kid, giving everything he had. And if you really want to understand the depth of that performance, just watch the way Arnie interacts with his family. His fear of bathtubs. His obsession with routines. The way he lights up when his sister comes home, or the way he cries without warning. There's nothing performed about it. It's all emotion. All instinct. All heart. There's this scene where Arnie is being held back by his brother. He's thrashing, screaming, scared. And Leo doesn't hold back. His face twists, his voice cracks, and your heart breaks. Not because the scene is dramatic, but because it's real. That's the word that keeps coming back, isn't it? Real. Maybe that's why this role is so underrated. Because it didn't feel like a role. It felt like someone letting us in. And that kind of vulnerability. That kind of trust. It's rare. Even among the best actors in the world. So yeah, 30 years ago, Leonardo DiCaprio delivered something extraordinary. Not flashy. Not loud. But unforgettable. A quiet masterpiece. A moment of cinematic truth that still holds up today, maybe even more so now that we've seen how far he's come. And maybe, just maybe, that's the kind of legacy that matters most. So, let me ask you, what performance, by any actor, left a mark on you like this? What underrated film still lives rent-free in your mind? I'd love to hear about it. Drop it in the comments. Let's start a conversation about the hidden gems we never talk about enough. And hey, if this video opened your eyes to a side of DiCaprio you didn't know about, or reminded you of something you once felt, give it a like. Maybe even share it with someone who needs to remember that quiet art still matters. And if you're curious about the roles Leo turned down, the ones that could have completely changed his path, stick around. That video's coming next. Thanks for being here. For watching. For feeling. For remembering the kind of performances that don't just entertain, they stay with you. Because long after the lights fade and the credits roll, that's what great acting does, it lingers.